Israel continues to prepare a ground operation in the Gaza Strip. And, judging by the numerous satellite images, the Israel Defense Forces are in full combat readiness and ready to launch an operation at any moment. At the same time, even the most experienced military experts refuse to give an accurate forecast regarding the outcome of the Israelite army's ground operation in the Gaza Strip. Given the density of buildings in the Gaza Strip, the Israel Defense Forces will certainly face heavy losses in manpower and equipment. Moreover, the extensive tunnel systems in Gaza allow Hamas militants to strike Israeli soldiers right in the rear. Thus, the Israelite army losses will be unprecedented for all history of the existence of the Israeli state. Let me remind you that in 1967, during the Six-Day War, Israel lost more than 1,000 soldiers killed. In 1973, during the Yom Kippur War, Israel's losses amounted to 3,000 people. And now, in 2023, Israel has lost more than 1,000 people in 10 days. There is no doubt that after the start of the ground operation in the Gaza Strip, Israel will suffer catastrophic losses not only in manpower but also in heavy equipment. It seems that quite competent manipulations were carried out against Israel, as a result of which, Tel Aviv found itself in a trap from which it will never get out. It may seem strange, but insiders claim that Hamas militants are looking forward to the start of the Israel Defense Forces ground operation in the Gaza Strip. Moreover, the Hamas leadership does not even hide its satisfaction with this fact. On October 14, Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian met with Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh in Qatar. Despite the fact that the meeting was held behind closed doors, the witnesses particularly noted the good mood of the Iranian minister and the leader of Hamas. As I said earlier, the conflict that broke out in the Middle East is a consequence of the processes that have begun in world geopolitics, directly related to the transition of humanity to a new world order. The unipolar world is giving up its last breath, trying to delay the final arrival of a multipolar system. Meanwhile, against the background of the approach of a multipolar world, the Middle East is trying to form its own Arab-Islamic macro-region. In order to realize this goal, many Muslim countries have even decided to forget past disagreements. Moreover, even Shiites and Sunnis decided to forget past contradictions in order to create a macro-region in the Middle East. Most likely, over time, contradictions and disagreements between Sunnis and Shiites will resume again. However, at the moment, Muslims are uniting for the sake of achieving a common goal and defeating Israel, in order to finally rid the Middle East of the grasping hands of globalists with their unipolar system. If we consider the current situation from the point of view of a strategic long-term perspective, there is no doubt about Israel's future defeat. Of course, this will not happen soon, and this process may take years. However, the fact remains, this process has begun and cannot be halted. Israel will weaken and lose its strength. Moreover, Tel Aviv is already rapidly losing its resources and capabilities. The fact that Israel, amid the aggravation of the situation in the Middle East, has asked the United States for a huge amount of weapons and $10 billion in financial assistance, indicates that the Jewish state is entirely dependent on the West. Moreover, since 1948, Israel has never been able to put the Jewish civilization on the path of new and independent development. On the contrary, all these years, Israel as a state has become increasingly dependent on the United States, eventually becoming a real exclave of the West in the Middle East. Whether you like it or not, the existence of Israel depends entirely on the position and status of the United States in the geopolitical arena of the world. As the former hegemon loses power, the pressure on Israel from the Islamic world will only increase. And cornered Tel Aviv can undoubtedly use nuclear weapons. However, this fact will not stop those who crave revenge. Moreover, many are sure that Israel does not have so many nuclear warheads. According to preliminary data, Israel has only 80 units of these warheads, which can undoubtedly put an end to tens of millions of lives in the region. However, this number of nuclear missiles is not critical in terms of destroying the entire Middle East. Therefore, Muslim countries will continue to increase their pressure on Israel. They are well aware that without the help of the United States, Israel does not have a single chance of survival, and therefore, they are doing everything to deliver a decisive and crushing blow.